All right. Get everything set up. If you guys are in here, if you guys can hear me, go ahead and leave a message. Type a comment. I'm just getting stuff set up a little bit. I haven't done this in a long time, so just feeling it out. And I wanted to set up a small moss terrarium, so I thought I'd bring you guys along for it. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I've got some moss set up right down here, and some moss with rocks and sticks. And we're just going to set it up in a small sealed glass jar, and we're going to put a false bottom in there and all that stuff. So figured I'd do this, do it live and practice a little bit, because I've been wanting to do some live streaming for a long time, and see how it goes. So yeah, this is the jar that I'm using for the terrarium. It's just a small little jar from Walmart. This was $5 over by where the Tupperware section is. And the reason I got this one is because you can seal it up. And this is going to be a sealed terrarium. And I've done these in the past. I usually tinker around with this stuff in the past. And I haven't done any videos on it. And I really haven't done videos on my aquariums or all the other stuff that I've done. And so I'm just kind of, there's not a lot of gardening stuff to do. It's just now starting to warm up. I wanted to kind of do an update once I mow the grass and the property and all the food forests and everything like that. So this is what I usually do in the wintertime or when I'm not gardening. Mess around with stuff like this, walk out in the woods, find a bunch of really cool moss. And I've had this stuff now for a couple weeks, and trying to get all the bugs out of it. And it's been growing really good. Not all of it has been, but some of it has. But if you guys can hear me, I don't know if my microphone's even working. Go ahead and let me know, so I'm not just rambling on for no reason with no one. Nobody can hear me. I don't even know if I can see the. Okay, there we go. Elizabeth Ross, we can hear you. All right. So if you guys have any questions while I start doing this, just go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I mean, go ahead, and even if it's not about what I'm doing, I'm just kind of do this to stay busy, talk to you guys. And what's up, Justin? All right, you guys can hear me. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of talk along with you guys. If you guys want to follow along with what I'm doing with this terrarium, for everybody kind of joining just now, this is the Terrarium Setup. It's just a small jar. You get these at Walmart for like $5. And I've got some really cool mosses that we're going to put in there. And we're going to do a false bottom. I'm going to explain the false bottom. I've done these in aquariums for lizards and stuff like that, for bioactive aquariums where you've got plants in there, and you've got different types of stuff that you're going to be watering. You don't want it to get too wet. So you put a false bottom in there. Let's just get started while we're at it. Yeah, it's just now starting to warm up where I'm at over here. Today, gosh, it got up into like 65 today. So that was pretty nice. I'm just going to start out with some gravel. This is some pea gravel. And you get this stuff at Walmart. And don't want to get the aquarium gravel, because that shit's way too expensive. This stuff right here, you get a bag of it. You get like a 50-pound bag for $3. It's in the construction section. I do about an inch. Texas is at 85. I wish it was 65. Man, I haven't had 85-degree weather, so it'd be so nice to have some 85 degrees. And I'm doing a lot of potatoes this year out in the garden, so I'll be getting those here in the ground pretty soon. 35 in Indiana. All right. So that's about what I've got, if you guys can see that. Use my hand. It's about an inch, a little bit more, maybe about an inch and a half. Now, this is just window screen. That carbon fiber window screen. And what I did was I set the jar on top of it, cut it out so that way it fits it, and give it a little bit extra so that way it holds the soil and all the charcoal and everything in. And I mean, basically what this is, it's just going to be like a filter, you know, the different layers. It's going to have charcoal, sand, rock, all that stuff. Now, right now, I'm just kind of pushing it down. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is some charcoal. Actually, no, I might do the moss. I've got some dried sphagnum moss right here that I'm going to use as a secondary filter to stop the sand from falling down in there. I don't really want the sand to get down into the gravel. I want that to kind of stay as a different layer right up above this moss. So, and yep, this is just dried sphagnum moss. They use it for orchids and all that other stuff. My potatoes failed, but sweet potatoes were awesome. The Garden Harris. Yeah, I guess it depends on where you are. Where are you actually? What state are you in? Garden Harris. I know sweet potatoes. They love the South. They love those longer summers. Are the frogs to eat? Nope. Sadly, the frogs are not. They're not to eat. They are pets. And I've never eaten a Pac-Man frog. I don't think I ever would. But. I mean, frog legs are pretty. I've actually had some pretty good frog legs when I lived in Myrtle Beach. It's a nice place. All right. So if you guys can see, I've got the gravel layer, then I've got the screen, and then I've got a secondary screen, which is what this moss is going to act like. It's actually going to hold the sand in place. So as water comes down, it's only going to collect down here in the gravel. And let's see what we got. East Texas, hot, humid, and sort of swampy. Nice. Wait, what's the stuff you're putting in now? That's dried moss, dried sphagnum moss, and sphagnum moss, however you want to say it. And that's what this stuff. This is New Zealand sphagnum moss, and that's going to kind of hold everything in a little bit. Never eaten a pet until you own a quail. Nice. Well, it is what it is, you know. When you raise animals for meat, you start to like them, you start to name them, and you end up eating your pets, I guess. But all right, we got 5 people in here. This is the first live stream I've done in a long time, so I figured rather just stare at the camera and wait for you guys to ask me questions, I'd do something. I gotta stay productive. You feel me? You know what I mean? I gotta keep going. Now this right here is just some regular sand from Walmart. It's what they call the tube sand. It's really thick and grainy. It's got gravel and all kinds of really good stuff in there. It's not the play sand. The play sand is way too damned expensive. This stuff right here was on sale for $2 for 60 pounds. 60-pound bag of sand. So I'm gonna try to get this there without making a mess and spread it out real good. Yeah, construction type of sand. Yep, it's the tube sand. It's also the stuff that people use, I don't know, in their trucks and stuff like that, or I say tube, but it's like a plastic bag. It's kind of shaped like a tube. And for all the new people, I see we've got some new people tuning in. We're making a terrarium, a moss terrarium out of a giant ass mason jar. These are only $5-6 at Walmart. We've already put the gravel layer in there. This is where a lot of the water is gonna collect. And we need water down there because it's sealed up. It's gonna evaporate. It's gonna kind of collect on the glass during the day and then cycle back around. So it'll be a sealed moss terrarium. I kind of try to make sure I get a good bit of sand in there. And I'm going to actually lay some more back here to kind of create a backdrop where it's kind of sloping down. So that way you'll see it a little bit better, I guess. So elevated. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah. Oh, so like sandbag sand. Yep. 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 You try to pack each layer. So that way it's nice and tight. And when the water kind of goes through there, there's no air pockets. And there's enough air pockets down here in the gravel already, but all right, I've got some sand. And I made it a little bit higher in the back where it's kind of sloping down on it. You can see that. It's got a little bit of slope. Nah, that ain't much of a slope. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is the charcoal and then the soil. Now, charcoal is just the bags of lump charcoal that you get at Walmart, you know, for grilling out and stuff like that. I just put it in a little bag and crush the hell out of it with a hammer. And I'm going to lay this in here. Now, what the charcoal is going to do is it's going to allow all the really good bacteria as a little surface for it all to kind of rest in, and it actually pulls nitrogen out, which is kind of nice. And it's actually really good. I try to mix it into some of the soils that I use for stuff like this. I have in the past. All right, so we got the charcoal in there now. Kind of push that down, and I made it a little bit higher in the back so that way it gives it some depth. All right, what do we got? I don't know what you're doing, but liking the commitment. Nice. Hell yeah. Where do you get the coal from? Walmart. I guess you could call this decorative. I mean, it's a living terrarium. You could grow some food in here. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of just a living terrarium setup right in here. You'll see what it looks like when it's done. But yeah, I guess it's decorative. Let me show you what the bag of charcoal looks like. Called Royal Oak. It's in a big red bag. It was only $9 at Walmart. And you can get activated carbon in the fish section. It's the same stuff that they use in filters. This stuff right here isn't treated. It doesn't have any charcoal fluid on it or nothing. It's just all natural hardwood charcoal. You don't want to use briquettes. Briquettes are, you don't want to use Kingsford briquettes on the stuff. Just use some. If you want, you can just even make your own charcoal. Just put the fire out before the logs completely burn out, and you'll have some charcoal. All right. Be cool to place an animal, lizard, etc. that is suited for its environment. Yeah, you can do that. I'm actually going to be doing that. This is a smaller version of what I'm going to be setting up, bigger for some of the frogs and stuff like that I have. And should probably wash my damn hand off. Look at that, it's nasty. But, Let's see here. Next thing I need to do is the soil. Only the best, guys. Only the best. Some mushroom compost, huh? We'll put a real small layer of that right on top. Small layer of mushroom compost on top of the charcoal. And I'm going to try to pack this part in here as hard as I can because moss does not like growing in loose soil. It only grows in hard surfaces. That's why you'll find it growing on rocks, logs, decaying logs and stuff like that. And if you've got some clay soil that's really undisturbed and stuff, will grow in that. But other than that, the moss doesn't really, does not really like loose soil. So I'm going to pack it down hard as hell. I wonder if you could grow mushrooms in a closed terrarium. Well, I remember back in high school, I had a bunch of buddies that were growing mushrooms in mason jars, but we'll leave that for another conversation. But yes, I'm sure it is possible. And I've seen terrariums that have logs like this, got some sticks with moss growing on them, where little mushrooms will grow out of there too. All right, so for anybody that's tuning in just recently, we've got a false bottom. Underneath the false bottom, we've got gravel, we've got moss. We've also got another filter right here. Well, first we got gravel, the screen filter, a moss filter, sand filter, charcoal, and then right on top we've got some mushroom compost for really good soil to kind of keep it fertile. And I sloped it. You can kind of see that now. I kind of sloped it downward, so it's going to give a little bit of depth when you're looking at it. You don't have to look down into it. You can look right at it, kind of. All right. That's funny. I'm Mushroom Man from mushroomman.com. Can't wait to create a mushroom forest on my homestead. That's dope. That's awesome, man. And yes, you can grow mycelium in substrate. All right. So the best part about this, let's get on to some planting it. Let's set it up a little bit. Now I have some really bright green carpet moss right here. If you guys can see that. Nice big sheet of it. And I'm going to try to tuck this down in there as best as I can and try to fill it up as much as I can. And without breaking it apart. Nice. Nice. All right. Looks like I cut just the right amount out of there. I'm going to kind of push it down a little bit so it's nice and snug on there. Awesome. So I basically already put a moss carpet all the way in this thing. What I did almost completely filled it. Let me bring this down right over so you can see it. Is the light better that way? Yeah, it's too dark otherwise. So you'll be looking into it from here, and then this is the background right here. And that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm going to decorate it a little bit with some sticks and stuff. Got some moss already growing on some rocks. That'll look pretty cool. And I definitely want to put this in there. That thing's awesome. That used to be a log or a stick, but there's like these little balls of moss growing on it, which look really cool. Set that up. All right. Mushroom compost. Where'd you buy it? I got it from a nursery. I've always, ever since I started using mushroom compost, it's some of the best stuff. It's got a pH already. And it's what the best part about it is it's leftover as you know, if you guys grow mushrooms or you grow ground mushrooms, they grow them in soil and stuff. So this is just leftovers from growing these, you know, mushrooms, the ones you see at the grocery store and everything. And I saw it had an NPK on it somewhere, but I think it's got some somewhere. Yeah, this is good stuff. It's made by Black Cow, and that's what the bag looks like. Mushroom compost. That's some really good stuff. Nice moss, thanks. I found a red moss once, but it died. Bummer. How long until you have to water it? Is it a set up and walk away? Yeah, it is a set up and walk away. I'm actually just going to spray this. So it's really good. So it's got, you know, good moisture. And then I'm going to seal it up and then just kind of keep an eye on it. The perfect moisture is where the glass kind of starts to beat up. You've got some condensation on the inside during the daytime, and then it disappears at nighttime. And then you'll have a little line of water down here on the bottom. That's going to be the water reservoir that'll circulate through there and feed everything. Let's see, nice. Now make a shrink ray and say, I shrank the kids. Yeah, right? Put the kids in there. I actually just watched that movie with Matt Damon, Shrunk. Shrinked, I don't know. Or he went to get shrunk and his wife backs out on him. Pretty funny. All right, so if you guys can see that, I've got the moss in there like that, and I've got this little stick with moss growing on it. It's got these little balls. So it's starting to look like a nice aged forest floor. You know what I mean? And let's see. I don't know. You guys tell me, should I use this rock with this moss on it or this one with this little bit of moss on there? I don't know. I think this one here might be a little too big. Try to put this one in there. And then I got another stick, but I don't know if I've got room for it. Let's see. Maybe I'll skip the rock and just put the damn stick in there. What do you guys think? Might be too big. Actually, I kind of like that. Won't fit. Yeah. Yep. So I'm trying to make it so that way there's not a lot of stuff touching the glass. When it condensates, that stuff will kind of get a little bit too wet and kind of start to mold. All right. What do you guys think? Huh? Got the stick right here with some moss growing on it. Here's a really aged stick that's got some really nice different species of moss growing on that. We've got the different layers. We've got the gravel with the false bottom, two separate layers. The screen layer, which is that plastic window screen, moss and dried sphagnum moss, sand, charcoal, and then soil. And then let me bring the light a little bit down here so you guys can kind of see a little better. What do you guys think? Huh? Looks like a forest, don't it? That's pretty cool. But there will be little bugs and all kinds of stuff crawling around in here because of, I mean, there's just, you know, orthopods and spiders and little millipedes and little worms and stuff living in this moss because it's collected from the wild. So it's a little mini living terrarium, a local with actually local mosses and local woods and stuff like that. Let's see here. How long until we have to water it? Smaller rock. Those are the two that I actually got. I'll probably have to put them in a bigger terrarium, I think, or something. I bet with a larger jar, we could put a small pool of water and put a salamander in it. Definitely. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you could definitely do that. And that's actually some of the best things for salamanders and frogs. I mean, why, if you're going to have little animals and little pets and stuff like that, why give them a bunch of fake stuff when you can give them some real stuff? There's a bare spot right here. I'm kind of looking at. Oh well, leave it alone. Leave it alone. I'll finish talking to you guys. It actually looks awesome. Would be nice to have on your work desk. Purity. Now I want to see a spider in there. Now we're talking. Now we're talking, guys. I told my wife I'm going to have some little terrariums with some tarantulas in it. She freaked out. She said that she would not come to the store if I had any tarantulas in here. I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to put them in this small of a jar, honey. I'd have to get a bigger jar for them. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to get the water bottle and spray it on. And then tomorrow I'll actually go in and wipe the glass off and kind of give it a nice little clean, because there's a little bit of charcoal dust that is still stuck to the edge of the glass. And there we go. Now, if you've got too much water in there, you can just leave the jar lid open, let some of it evaporate, and then kind of go from there. Because you don't want too much water in there, because then it'll just rot and mold. And the best way is to actually smell it. When you open up the sealed jar, it should smell like a nice forest. It shouldn't smell all nasty like a swamp or anything like that. All right. That's pretty much it. So that's how to set up a small terrarium. And, I'm going to actually wipe the glass off while we're at it. That's how to set up a small terrarium in a little mason jar. And you can do the same thing with bigger aquariums, stuff for salamanders and frogs and everything. And got to get all fancy with the little tweezers so we can get in there. If you use a smaller jar, you can just hold on to a little Q-tip. Same way with some tweezers and get up in there. That's good. All right. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. I'll keep you guys posted on how this comes along, and if there's anything cool starts growing in there, if we see any little bugs moving around. But that's it. I'm going to seal it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to give me a thumbs up, and if you liked it. And there'll be plenty of more garden videos coming up pretty soon. I'm going to do some more gardening videos out in the yard. And when it's now starting to warm up a little bit, like I said, I'm going to do a ton of potatoes. I wasn't able to get any tomatoes in the ground or anything like that, so I'll probably be buying some from the nursery. That's right. Mike Johnson, what's up, Mike? I'm live streaming it, man. Look at the little terrarium, dude. We got a little moss terrarium with some little logs, and I have this on the shelf underneath the light. It'll look awesome. Nice. Now I want to see a spider net. Thank you for sharing. Have a good night. You too, 1 Acre Homestead. Take care. And what else? This was cool. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome, the Gardenerist. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks for commenting too. Really appreciate that. And Off Grid Lifestyle said it's a small Amazon moss forest. Absolutely. Well, I mean, this is kind of cool. If you guys like this, maybe I'll do more of these in the future with bigger aquariums and bigger stuff and stuff like that. Different species of plants. The mosses are so easy because you can just seal them up in there. Make sure they got the We'll see you on the next one.